This is the second video for Unit 3.2 about specific needs for people with acquired disabilities regarding nutritional aspects. Let's start then. How is the nutritional status of patients with acquired disabilities affected? We know that disability entails a series of specific sequelae in each patient. Therefore, each one will have specific nutritional needs that must be taken into account to develop a nutritional plan. But what sequel will directly affect the nutritional status of patients with acquired disability? As we can see in the image, consequences such as reduced mobility, the appearance of associated pathologies, or the deterioration of cognitive ability can have a direct effect on the nutritional health of the patient and cause changes in body weight, metabolic imbalances, or psychological complications, among others. Each patient will have a particular situation, so it's necessary to study the barriers they encounter throughout the recovery process. We know the metabolic alteration that occurs in the acute phase of acquired brain injury in the first weeks, with some resistance to glucose and other values altered by a hypercatabolic state. We can see it in numerous studies, but this situation tends to stabilize and we don't know what happens next. There is a lack of studies to determine the nutritional needs of people with acquired disabilities during the chronic stage. At the moment, what we know is that there is a certain relationship between chronically acquired disability and obesity, diabetes, or hypertension. Given the evident lack of information on the specific nutritional needs of people with acquired disabilities as a population group during the chronic stage, we will see how to determine the specific nutritional needs of patients individually. First of all, we must know the characteristics of the disability. In addition, we need to know the nutritional status of the patient before and after the traumatic event. Finally, having collected all this information, we can approximate what the nutritional needs of our patients will be at a specific time. Remember that we must take into account the evolution of patients and how we adapt the supports to this evolution. Specifically, it's necessary to know what type of injury the patient has suffered, its evolution to establish itself in the chronic phase, and what brain functions have been affected to understand the sequelae that the injury has entailed. This means knowing the patient's medical history since the establishment of the injury. Knowing the specific characteristics of the lesion of each individual is important to perform efficient personalized treatments and understand the reasons for the sequelae. Once the disability is known, we will examine the nutritional status. That is, we will assess as a nutritionist the body composition in an estimated way through anthropometry. Then we will assess the metabolic functions through a biochemical analysis. And finally, we will assess the approximate energy balance, that is, the energy it consumes with respect to the one it spends. In addition, we must know the patient's dietary history before and after the injury to know if there are disorders in the diet or a deficient nutritional status. If he followed any diet, his preferences, his knowledge about food. With these two evaluations, we will have useful information that guides us towards what the nutritional needs of the patients are. After this initial evaluation, we will most likely detect that the patient needs to treat at least one of these points. Treatment or prevention of associated pathologies like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, or metabolic syndrome, regulation of body composition by excess or by default, detection and treatment of nutritional deficiencies of one or more nutrients, detection and treatment of malabsorption, bowel transit, and bowel functionality, and finally, the detection and treatment of sensory alterations such as the loss of the sense of smell. Let's see these points and the benefits of their correct treatment in the next video. Thanks for all.